Half a day everyone, this is Mr. Favo, and today we're going to be talking about properties of exponents. So for this lesson we have 3 objectives. We will be able to know academic language, understand patterns found in exponents, and also apply 2 different properties of exponents. So before we talk about the first property, we're going to go ahead and discover it through this process. So let's go ahead and try to simplify this expression. 2 to the third power times 2 to the second power. So what we're going to go ahead and do is first expand each exponent, meaning to say we have 2 to the third power, expanded to 2 times 2 times 2. Likewise, with the second one, 2 to the second power, we have 2 times 2. So all together, we're going to go ahead and simplify this, meaning to say 2 is being multiplied to itself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So in its simplest form, this is the same as 2 to the 5th power. Now how this works is we have this expression and we simplified it to 2 to the 5th power. We're going to go ahead and talk about a property that works without doing all of this work. And to do this, we need to find some patterns happening. Meaning to say, how do we get from this expression to the simplified form? By finding out some patterns. Let's take a look at the base. What is happening with the base? Well, they all stay the same. The base here is 2. Let's go ahead and put 2, 2, and it's also 2 in its simplest form. How about the exponents? How do we get from 3 and 2 to our new exponent here, 5? What is happening with the exponents? Well, it looks like the exponents are being added to each other. So we keep the base 2 raised to the power of 3 plus 2, and we know that 3 plus 2 is in fact 5. So this leads us to our first property of exponent, which is called the product of powers property, which states that when multiplying 2 bases that are the same, we add the exponents. So let's go ahead and try one more example with this. Let's say we have some number x to the power of 5 times x to the power of 2. So it looks like the bases are the same, x and x. So that means let's go ahead and just add the exponents, x to the power of 5 plus 2. And we know that 5 plus 2 is indeed 7. So x to the 7th power is our simplest form when we use the product of powers property. So this is the first property we're going to be talking about. The second property is very similar, but instead of product, we're going to be talking about quotient of powers property. And when we say quotient, we mean we're going to be dividing. So let's go ahead and talk about this next expression. Negative 6 to the power of 4 divided by negative 6 to the power of 1. Like what we did in previously, let's go ahead and first expand the numerator. This negative 6 to the power of 4 is the same as negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6 4 times. Likewise, with the denominator, negative 6 to the power of 1 is just negative 6. So what we're going to go ahead and do is simplify what we have here. We can actually cross this negative 6 divided by negative 6 because that just equals to 1. So essentially, we have negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6, or negative 6 to the third power. Now with this next property, the idea is to use a property to get from here to its simplest form without using, again, all of this expansion. And we're going to do that by finding patterns. So what pattern do you see from this expression to its simplified expression? What do you notice about the base? Well, the base stays the same, negative 6 and negative 6. But how do we get from this exponent 4 and 1 to 3? What do we do with the exponents? Well, we subtract them. 4 minus 1, and we know that 4 minus 1 is 3. So with this next property, when we're dividing it and the bases are the same, we subtract the exponents. And this is called the quotient of powers property, which states that when dividing 2 bases that are the same, we subtract the exponents this time. So let's go ahead and try just one more example with this property. Let's say we have some number y to the 10th power divided by y to the 7th power. Since we're dividing it and the bases stay the same, y and y, all we do is subtract the exponents. 10 minus 7, we know that 10 minus 7 is 3. So these are the two properties of exponents, the product and quotient of powers property. So just looking back at our objectives, we were able to know some academic language, which were the product and quotient powers of property. Quotient. And we were also able to understand some patterns that we found in expressions so that we were able to come up with the two properties, and we were definitely able to apply the two properties of exponents.